Hey, I'm Jenna Wolf, certified lactation counselor, parent coach, and extended breastfeeding mom of two. I fully understand the unique challenges of breastfeeding beyond the baby days, and I'm here to take your hand and support you along your journey. So toss that hair in a messy bun, grab a basket of laundry to fold, and let's get started. This is Start to Stop Toddler Breastfeeding. The workshop on Friday was amazing, and I just loved connecting with all of you who came. I hung out for well over half an hour after the call, like after the workshop portion ended, answering questions and talking, and tears were shed, my own tears. I don't know about the rest of you, but it was emotional, really beautiful, and I just loved it. It was great. I'm also very tired. I thought that I could show up a lot after the workshop and be answering everyone's questions and doing all these live, Instagram lives and bringing all the content from the workshop over to my Instagram and sending all these incredible emails with just mind-blowing stuff. And guess what? I am exhausted. It was a lot of work putting that workshop together. So I've been slacking a little bit. Wouldn't call it slacking. I've been taking the needed rest to recover, which is why this podcast episode is coming out on a Tuesday and not on Monday. I even wanted to have one come out on Saturday, and I tried, but it just did not happen. So today, in light of the workshop and the doors opening to my group coaching program, I thought I would talk a little bit about the evolution of my business. And you're like, I don't really want to hear all about you, Jenna, and that's okay. I get it. But what I'm going to talk about is the things I've found that have worked in my business and why they have worked for supporting toddler breastfeeding moms. This means that if you want to work with me, you're going to hear about how I work and what kinds of things I offer and why I offer them. If you don't want to work with me, you're going to hear about what kinds of things actually support toddler breastfeeding parents and why they're important, and how through a lot of trial and error, I got to where I am right now with the offerings that I'm offering. So hopefully this will support you wherever you're at. I really designed this podcast episode to do that. Of course, if you don't want to hear about this, you don't have to listen to me. You can turn it off. I don't care. I won't be offended. I won't know. But yeah, I don't want to ramble too long. So I'll just start right into it. If you've been around for a while, you know that I started out doing postpartum breastfeeding support, right? I had my own daughter. We had a lot of breastfeeding challenges. I saw my friends who were breastfeeding and having similar challenges, but not having the success that I was having. And the only reason I had that success was because I had support. And when I say support, I'm not talking about friends and family who believe in you and love you. Like, that is the support. You need that support. Don't get me wrong. But in our day and age, you also need a lot of education and a lot of people who can come alongside you and say, here, let's try this instead, right? Not just people that are like, we believe in you, because that only takes you so far when you have a tiny little newborn who is maybe having some, weight issues and trouble. I was trying to convert. Oh my gosh, I cannot see how tired I am, guys. See how tired I am. A tiny newborn who was having trouble with latching was trying to mix together trouble and struggle, and that was a hot mess. Anyways, I digress. Yeah, and your nipples are bleeding, and there's all kinds of fun stuff happening at that stage. You really need somebody who can come in, who can hold space for you and provide the expertise that you need in that moment, right? So I was like, cool, I'm going to go learn more things. And I did. And slowly I was getting certified in different areas and taking all these different classes and learning a lot about breastfeeding. And I began to support breastfeeding moms in different areas for different reasons. I didn't have like a full-fledged running big business at that point, but there'd be some weeks and months where I'd have 4 or 5 moms that I was helping and others where I didn't. But I was going into homes, spending a lot of time. And if you aren't in the lactation world or have never had a lactation consultant support you outside of maybe at the hospital, you wouldn't know this, but lactation consultants generally come to your home for 1 to 2 hours initially. And then maybe follow-ups are 30 minutes or an hour. Or you go to their office and you stay there for an hour or so. And when we're coming into your home or you're going to an office space, really start to finish taking a big medical history intake, learning all kinds of things about you so that we can help you where you are at, and providing whatever education you need, whether that's support with pumping or support with latching or learning about milk supply, or even helping you figure out how you can get more rest, understanding your baby's unique cues, all that kind of stuff. So that was like what I did, right? But as my own daughter got older and as I, got pregnant again and I started experiencing a lot of toddler breastfeeding issues that, hey, we didn't really talk about in the lactation community. I was like, what's happening here? And I realized, goodness, there's not a lot of support for this. There's like a really incredible book called Adventures in Tandem Nursing, and Tandem Feeding. I can't even see how tired I am. It's by Hilary Flowers, and it's put out through the Leche League International. I have the book. I'm looking around me right now because I know I have it on my shelf somewhere. But yeah, it's pretty limited, right? Like very few resources that are especially accessible. So I was like, if I need the support, I know other parents do too. And of course, I was running into people that would also have the similar struggle. And I was like, okay, I'm figuring this out, and I've learned a lot, and I made a lot of big transformations in my own breastfeeding journey and weaning journey, and I know that I can support other parents. So what did I do? I started doing in-home consults for toddler breastfeeding. Here's the problem, that going to somebody's home for an hour, first of all, toddlers can be a little bit nervous about having a stranger in their home. Rightfully so, I understand. So it wasn't really a great opportunity to talk with moms in a way that could really support them because there's a lot of distraction. So, it wasn't a really beneficial time necessarily. Like, certainly there was good things that came out of it. And I hope I supported those moms. But it also was very limiting because I was just working with moms in my local area, right? I couldn't be driving or flying all over the world to go help moms. And I would often leave feeling like, there's just so much more that this person really could have used support wise. And this is just not it's not working. So around that time, I enrolled in my first online course, which was amazing. I had no idea what an online course was. Online group coaching program was really what it was. And I mean, I'd taken online education because I had been doing like a lot of online education, but not with a coach. And it was a wild, amazing experience. It was only an 8-week program, but this would have been late 2020, I think, and early 2021, something. It's right in that time. But the people that I met in that program, I'm still very close with. You may even be listening. Hey, guys. We've even done like road trips together to go hang out at, like a cottage and stuff. So it was really amazing how close I got with these people in such a short period of time. And it really profoundly changed me. Like I really got so much out of it. And I was like, oh my goodness, I can support people like this, right? This is a different way of doing things. So it's also not the typical way of doing things in the lactation world, for sure, for sure. So I was in the process. I got certified as a Pure Joy parent coach. I took other parent coaching courses online. I kind of really loved the online coaching world. And I started doing one-to-one coaching with toddler breastfeeding families. Again, I was running into very similar problems that I had when I was doing in-home consults with one-to-one coaching. And that is that in an hour, I'm trying to give so much information. Like if we think that, and if I thought, right, and know that in the early breastfeeding experience, parents need a lot of education, it's even more so truly with toddler breastfeeding because you understand some basics about milk supply and latching at this point, right? But everything gets flipped on its head. And a lot of the things that get kind of drilled into you when you're early on in your breastfeeding experience no longer apply when you're in your, like after a year, 2 years, 3 years, right, of breastfeeding. And so we can get hung up on certain beliefs that we picked up in the early toddler breastfeeding or early breastfeeding experience, as well when there's trauma. I know that the word trauma can kind of be a loaded term, but when we've had difficult experiences in those early breastfeeding days, they can really affect the toddler breastfeeding journey down the line. So now we're carrying that with us, right? So these people that I'm working with in the one-to-one calls, it took a lot of calls to do this work because I was trying to teach a lot of things and simultaneously support them with the emotions that are coming up and all of those pieces in a 1 hour call. And it was pretty draining for me, and took a lot of money because it would take a lot of sessions. It would take at least 6 to 8 sessions to really see that transformation that they were looking for. And that is typical with one-to-one coaching. Do not get me wrong. I really don't know coaches who offer parenting coaching or that kind of relationship-based coaching, that kind of stuff, like where we're focusing more on that inner world kind of pieces, talking about parenting, talking about marriage, talking about, even life coaching in general, that kind of stuff. It's going to take, most people don't sell packages less than, 8 to 12 packages, like sessions in a package. And that gets pricey. And it's pricey for these incredible families that I want to help. That's why I'm doing it. Also, on my end, the more people I take on, the more time it's eating up for me. Right now, I've got a lot of one-to-one calls in a day. And guess what? I love my children and my family, and I homeschool, and my husband and I homeschool together. And my kids are young right now, and it's important for me to spend time with them. Oh, I'm hitting my paper as I'm talking. So that didn't work great. And yeah, it was a bit of a struggle. And I would always want to say, okay, well, we can just do 3 or 4 sessions, right, to keep the cost down. But then it wasn't serving the people that I was trying to serve. And that became troublesome. So I took that group coaching model that, I had been in, and now I was in this coaching world and I was learning about people who have programs. And typically with like a curriculum-based group coaching program, it's kind of like this hybrid of like an online course. Even you can imagine like, distance education online. We've lived through the pandemic, right? We're familiar now with online learning. And putting it together with group coaching, which is where you meet with a number of people at once and you're coaching individuals in that group and everyone's benefiting from that coaching together, right? So there's certain activities and exercises that you will lead as a coach that benefit everyone. Certain times when you're focusing on one individual and other people are following along and benefiting from that. And, you get to hear people ask questions that you might not have even thought to ask, or you're not there yet. And then when you hit that spot, you're like, oh, I know how to work through this because I watched it happen with someone else. So there's really beautiful benefits of that group coaching aspect. So a lot of times when we're talking about group coaching, like programs, it's not just group coaching sessions where it's like, oh, you just pay and you just come in, which exists. Absolutely. And, you just pay kind of either per session or per month, and you just come in and you can just be in it indefinitely. But then with a program, you have this curriculum that you're working through at the same time as you're offering this coaching. So that model really appealed to me because I was like, this is the key. People need the education and the emotional support. They need both of those things. How can I do this in a way that is not going to be super expensive for everybody and also going to serve me in my time, right? So I took the curriculum that I was working through the one-to-one clients with, and I moved it into a online course. So that is like this course platform. You log into it on a web page and all of the lessons are there. So you have your login details, you log in, all the lessons are there as videos that I've recorded and you can work through them. Now I have created mine to have little kind of short bite-sized lessons. It's not like showing up to a lecture at university or something like that where you're, in there for 2 hours kind of going through this big thing. It's little bite-sized pieces and there's always like an action step either at the end of each lesson or at the end of each like module. And so for mine, there's 6 modules that you're working through and these little bite-sized pieces, and each module has, I try to keep it 30 minutes or less. Some might have 33 minutes or something, but of material. So you can work through it pretty quickly. It doesn't take a ton of effort, but that 33 minutes, I could not deliver in one. Like it was a struggle to deliver that much education in one one-to-one call, right? Because it's not like to the point of like this, right? Like we're going back and forth, we're getting interrupted, all that kind of stuff happening. And then I offer like a once a week group coaching call. And that means that I get to show up, everyone comes, everyone benefits from that thing together. We're all in it together. And Yeah, it's really awesome. Now, I can't say for sure that things won't flex and change as I move through, as a business, things won't evolve and I won't find new ways of doing things that are maybe even better than this or that work better for me and for the people I'm serving at that time. But this is how I have it set up right now. So it is that group coaching program container. Now, before I had it set up like this with the once a week group coaching call, I tried a few different things. I tried giving people 1 year access to the curriculum and then having them just book in a call when they needed it. And so I would include a certain amount of calls like in the price. Or I did like Voxer support, which is like audio messages if you're not familiar. So kind of like on Instagram or Facebook if you're used to doing those little voice note messages back and forth. But what I found is that having a year was a lot. A year to access all that stuff. And people would like maybe start off with it, but then they would kind of forget about it, or it would kind of like, they kind of fizzle out. Oh yeah, I'm going to get to that. And that time goes by quick, right? And then the year's up and they're like, oh wait, I didn't actually get to it. Right? Like they kind of start off strong and then struggle. Or on the flip side, they would get through the curriculum in a few, like 2-3 months, have an extra month of support with me, like, for a couple calls to make sure that like implementing all of the things is going well, and they'd be done. And so now they're paying for that 12-month access when they don't need it. So I created like a 4-month container, which is how I have it set up right now. So when we're talking about like containers, that is what is included inside of the course, right? That is the perimeters, the boundaries, the box that the course comes in. It's 4 months. And I do have some continuation stuff set up where you can kind of stay in the course a little longer. I work with people who are inside of the course to discuss that. But that, if you're listening to this podcast, that's probably not where you're at. But it's there because sometimes life happens and things come up. So I'm always trying to be flexible with those things. I know I've had that in my own life, and I've been so appreciative of other people who have been flexible with me and have created things that work for both of us, right? Where it's like, okay, I'll pay a certain amount of money for a month and I can keep going for another month. Anyway, so that's why I have this 12-month 4-month container set up where you work through the content, the curriculum, and then you get this group coaching alongside of it, because your breastfeeding relationship is a relationship. And that means that there's a lot of emotions involved. There's a lot of beliefs involved that, affect or maybe have been affected by all kinds of relationships, maybe your own parents, like teacher relationships you've been in, aunts and uncles, romantic relationships, and that's a lot to untangle. So I really see my role as a coach. Some people use this idea of like a mirror reflecting back so that you can see things more clearly. And that's true. But I like to think of it as coming around a campfire, and we're there together at this campfire. And my perspective is just going to be different than yours. And that fire is illuminating things. And I can be like, oh, did you notice that? Oh, I'm seeing this, right? And in that glow, you're seeing things too. And that's really where we get to go when we're coaching, like when I'm supporting a client, when I'm supporting you with coaching, right? To this campfire together, supporting along the journey, wisdom's being shared, right? We're talking together, and you'll leave feeling more clear, right? I can teach you some things around that campfire together. You can teach me some things, right? That's what it's all about. So I really love that. And then in addition to the curriculum and the group coaching, I also have what I call the writer's diaries. So my program is called Own Your Breastfeeding Story, because you get to own the stories that are in your mind, the narratives, things that you've been telling yourself, about your child, so that you can own the story that you're writing with your child. It's your story. So I include these writer's diaries. Now, I know the word diaries has different meanings in different parts of the world. Here, it's typically like a journal, but I know in other places it's more like a schedule. But as a creative person myself, it's typical when you are creative or artistic and you're creating things that you keep some kind of book with you where you write down your inspiration. And so that's really what the writer's diaries are meant for. They're meant for reflection. It's a journal with a little bit of structure and some exercises and whatnot in it, but there's a lot of room for reflecting and jotting down things that are coming to you in that time. so that you have something to look back on when you are in your planning and implementing stage. If you were at the workshop, I talked about that as the connection and the challenge stage, right? The adventure stage. And you can look back and draw from that inspiration moving forward. It also, I created them for that purpose, but you can submit them to me, which I hate this language like submit, but like you can send them over my way and I can look through them and then write in the diary too and write back to you, kind of like a letter. And this is a different form of coaching, but it's still coaching. And it means you don't have to show up at these calls all the time. So you don't have to show up weekly if you don't want to. You're going to be getting my support. And it's just another way of providing coaching for the people inside of my program that isn't interrupted by toddlers, right? That doesn't require you clearing more time on your schedule in order to do that. It's so not required, right? You do you, but it's an option that's there for you. And it also helps me to understand you a little bit better so that, when we come around that campfire, even if you haven't been to the campfire in a month or two, I have an idea of what's happening with you and I can support you all the better, right? There's not this big catch up period. So it's really, really been working amazingly for the students that I have had in this program set up this way for the last year. I think I started that in like February, setting it up in this container in this system, maybe a little later, but it's been working amazingly. And I've had a lot of families come all the way through from start to finish. And I was feeling really overwhelmed the other day and I hopped on a group coaching call for my clients in the call. And one of the people that was in the call started sharing about how much the courses impacted her. And like, I started crying because I was feeling really like overwhelmed on the back end of my business. Like, oh, what am I doing? Is this even serving people? Right. And it was just so incredible to hear her really share all that stuff. And I think I'm going to have her come on the podcast in a little bit. So if you're curious about the things she's saying, stay tuned. She's going to come on. But yeah, anyways, I'm done rambling for right now. I just wanted to share with you what the structure kind of looks like and why the structure exists for how I serve my clients the way that I do and why I serve them the way that they do. Because I think that, I like learning these things, but I also think it serves you to see if this is the right fit for you, but it also helps you to know like, oh, that's why those kinds of things haven't worked in the past. That's why she doesn't offer those things, right? So when you're looking around at other offerings or seeing of ways to like bring in more supports for yourself, you'll have an idea of like, is this the right fit for me? Is this going to work? Why or why not? Right? Maybe, you get to see what your needs are and what's going to meet them best. So doors are closing to my group coaching program right now in a couple days. So if you want to jump in, now is the time. I'm not sure when I'm going to open them again. It might be soon, but it might not be. Again, I'm just a mama working for here and looking at my own schedule and life right now. And I probably won't take in more people for at least a month or two just to get everything sorted out on my end. And then we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So if you want in, now is the time, my dears. I will see you all later. Please feel free to send me an email or a DM. I would love to chat with you. If you loved this episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any episodes in the future. Also, check out my Breastfeeding Toddler Communication Guide and cheat sheet to learn how to say no to the feed while still saying yes to the need at www.ownyourparentingstory.com/guide. And that concludes another episode of Start to Stop Toddler Breastfeeding. The theme song is Little Balloon by Jenny and Tyler, and it has been a pleasure to share this time with you. I'll catch you in the next episode.